after, a bit of how since we got together to talk about what God asked. We worked well together. We connected right away. When we both started preparing the TEDx talk. And I understand everything about the talk, the app. I matter how the public influenced the talk, how they assume the method of talk.
Well, I think that after my talk, people came to me and they said, thank you for communicating this. Thank you for speaking about this from a different perspective. And what I really liked is that some people came to me and said, thank you for not just speaking on one side, but also on the other side. Because it was a woman who said, thank you for discussing this issue, not just from the perspective that we may have, but also from the perspective of the immigrants that are going through this issues or difficulties in their lives. And so I think that people receive my talk well. I think that what I really wanted to do was to offer them a different perspective and say, we are not all of this what the media talks about, and it's really hard to try to convey that message and tell the people, I'm just like you, I'm just another human. These people, all of these immigrants are just humans like you and me who are trying to provide their families. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because the majority of these people don't speak English, so they don't speak the language, and so they cannot communicate those feelings. They cannot communicate that and say, well, listen, I'm not happy to be here and have left my family, have left my country, my culture, everything, and to be here where I have to start from zero. It's not my choice. It's not what I wanted to do, but the circumstances, what is happening, unfortunately, in my country, got me to where I am right now because I had no choice. I needed to provide for my children. I needed to provide for my family. I needed to do something, and that is the reason why I decided to immigrate. And so I wanted to provide that perspective, and I wanted to say, people don't wake up one morning and say, all right, I want to live in the US. I want to move to a developed country because I want to be able to drive an expensive car or blah blah. It's not that. I mean, we're talking here about basic needs that people have, and that has been the driver for the people to immigrate. The other thing that I wanted to say is that, for the 230 something years that the US and Mexico have been neighbors, never throughout history the Mexicans have immigrated in this great numbers to the US, never before. And the reason for that is because before, Mexico used to be better economical. So you can, it's easy for people to understand that, the economy of a country, it's either what drives people to stay or to leave the country. And so having said that, what I wanted to say is that there are important reasons why people decided to move, why people decided to immigrate, and that when you want to immigrate to other country, it's not easy. When you don't have money, when you don't have resources, you cannot just go and say, I want to get a work visa. You cannot just get a work visa. You have to have a sponsor. You have to have a U.S. sponsor. Like, if you want to work here in the U.S., the company where you want to work, they have to say, yes, we're going to give you a work visa, and we're going to sponsor you throughout the process. Who's going to do that? I mean, what company is going to do that and say, yes, here are all the documents. When you are going through this process, you are not in the U.S. The companies that may hire you are not, they don't know you. They don't know you, so they cannot say, oh yeah, we'll give you a work visa. So it's very complicated. So it's not, if I'm in Mexico right now, if I'm in Mexico and I want to work in the U.S., if I go to the U.S. embassy and I say, I want to work in the U.S., they will tell me, we cannot give you a work visa. Do you have a sponsor? No, I don't have a sponsor. And they will tell me, you need to get one. How do I do that? I need to call someone. Okay, I'm calling UAB. UAB, can you give me a sponsorship for my work visa? And they will say, who are you? Who are you? Do you have a PhD in this or a master's in this that can, so I can give you a job in an area that where I need you? So unfortunately, these people, they don't have that. They don't have a higher education. They don't have that, so they can apply for those kinds of work visa. So it's just very complicated. And now that I'm here in the U.S., when I see immigrants, these people, undocumented immigrants, I think, wow, how do they do it? It's really hard to work in the U.S. to make a living if you don't have a social security number, if you don't have a driver's license. So these people are here and they survive every day. So it's really hard, and I wanted to communicate that, and I wanted to speak, on their behalf and say, this is what happened, and that's the reason why they are here. That's the reason why they're here, not because they just wanted to come here and try to just move out of their countries and they have a different kind of experience and just leave my family or leave their families. So it was not easy.
Wow. Gonna put a lot of people not had a perspective. But instead of sell the public. I can understand why people might declare about more because there are people that do not know what it's like. We cannot see.
Yes.
Now you have to talk more, you have to explain more about TEDx talk.
Yes. Yes, I do feel that there's a, I do feel that the media, and when I say the media, I mean also, Hollywood movies and the media in general. I think that they have done a disservice to the American people because they have just they just portray one side of the issue and not not really everything. They don't really take into account all of the different factors, and the majority of the people that are here undocumented, they're good people. They're good people, hard-working people that have 2 to 3 jobs that work really, really hard. And what really breaks my heart is that, if there's a bad undocumented immigrant that has done something bad, they will use that to say that everybody else is a bad person, and that is it's a really bad stereotype because it really hurts and destroys that little we just don't have that like you said, people don't put themselves on their shoes, and so they don't really understand why these people are here, why they don't just get legal and get documents, and they don't understand that it's not that easy. It's not that a simple process, and that if there was a way for them to do that, they will do it. But it's not that simple. And one of the things that is really hard to understand is that, it's really hard for me to explain to people is that, listen, all of these people here, they want to respect the laws of this country. They want their children to be good Americans. They want their children to live in a country where they will be valued, where they will be protected by the law, where they can work and be that where they can their effort can pay off, and not just because they know somebody. So there are a lot of different things, and I think that the best way for us to understand this is to have a conversation, and when we talk and when we have a conversation, it's easier for us to understand. And listen, people like here, people in Mexico, people in Latin America, we are very similar. We are Christians. People may think, yeah, but you guys are Catholics. Yeah, but we believe in Christ. We believe in Jesus Christ. We have our culture is very similar. We're family-oriented people. We're people who believes in hard work, in being trustworthy, in people who has values, in people who believes that if you work hard, you will be able to have a better life and better opportunities. So we're not this kind of people that are foreigners who are or have a totally different belief system that is just far away from the American belief system. We're very similar, and so I would like people to really see the similarities that we share, the similarities, and not just those differences, and say, oh, but you are not the same because you are from this country, so you cannot be the same. And I will argue to people and say that a lot of these people can be more, or really good Americans because they believe in the American system. And when I say system, I mean in the rule of law in a country where they can be who they want to be, where they can work where they want to work, where they can have free speech, where they can grow as persons and as people that can be able to make their dreams come true. Yeah, so, and I think that, people like you that are using, their time to have this kinds of conversation and have this, open forums for foreigners like me to speak and to and so that other Americans can listen to myself and say, yeah, that's right. I mean, we're just people. These people are just like us. If I were in their shoes, I would do the same thing. If my children don't have anything to eat, cannot go to school, and have all these many problems, I would do the same thing. I would do whatever so my children can have a better life. And that's basically what these people are doing. They're not coming here to destroy things or to, break things and just do something bad for the Americans here. They're not doing that. It's totally the opposite. You can see in a lot of places here where people are building things. They're working construction. They're working in all different places. They're working, restaurants. They're working in pretty much everywhere, and they're contributing to this economy. They're contributing to America, so we can have a better country. And so that's what I would like the people to see, that these people really deserve an opportunity to be treated differently and to be given an opportunity as anybody else and as any other documented or undocumented immigrant who has been given the opportunity to be part of this society and be part in a society where the person feels that he or she is part of this, that the person one day, maybe one day, the people will not feel that they don't belong, but they will feel that they actually belong to this country, to this society, and that they will feel welcome, and that they will feel that they wanted and that they loved. And so I think that we as humans, we can do that, and we have that capacity to understand that. But it really, Sarah, one of the things about this is that it really requires an effort.
Yeah.
It requires an effort. I mean, it requires an effort for people to learn about, undocumented immigrants, an effort to go online and read about them and read, why they're here. I mean, why did they leave their countries? I mean, who will cross the border and risk, his or her life? I mean, who would do such a thing? I mean, it will only be a desperate person who doesn't have any other resource in their countries or opportunities that will totally just risk their lives to do that. So I think that when people do that, and when they really make an effort to understand the situation of these people, things start to change, and people start to see things from a different perspective and say, wait a minute, if that were me, if I'm in this country where there's a lot of violence, where there are no jobs, and the only people who can get jobs are the people who, have a cousin in the government, who knows somebody, and where in this place where people are being harassed, and where people are having all these kinds of problems, and they cannot provide for their families, and say, yes, I will do the same thing. I will leave the country. I will leave this country and do something else, which is what our founding fathers did. They left England, the UK, they left England to come to America and to start a new life, because they couldn't be free. They couldn't do, or they just couldn't have their basic freedom, right? So, the right to profess your own religion, the right to, for free speech, and all those basic things that we as humans need so we can thrive. And so as a society and as individuals, it's the same, those are the same, factors or reasons of why all of these people are here. So finally, I want to say that as an immigrant to this country, I and living in Birmingham. One time, I was in a Latin American country, I remember, and I was telling them that Birmingham, it's a good place to live.
Yeah.
And the people, they just kind of looked at me and said, Birmingham? And they said, and I said, yes, Birmingham. And they said, what I remember about Birmingham are the bombs and what happened with the civil rights movement and all the bad things that happened in Birmingham. And they said, yeah, that's right. But that is not Birmingham right now.
Yeah, it's not.
Birmingham has changed. Birmingham, it's a totally new city, and it's a great place to live. And so people have that misunderstanding of Birmingham. Well, that is the same misunderstanding that people have about immigrants. And so I'm like, I really identify with Birmingham, because even people from other states have the same stereotype about Birmingham. And when I'm like, no, Birmingham is not that. It's not what you think. And they're like, really? And so I really, it's just really amazing that I can really identify myself with Birmingham and relate that to immigrants when someone says, oh yeah, immigrants are this. And I'm like, no, that's not true. That's not true. So, I think that, stereotypes can really do, or can really damage societies. They can really poison societies and people, because before we even met someone, we are already, closing, our door and saying, I don't want to talk to these people because they're not from here, or they're from Mexico or a Latin American country, and they must be this. And so we are pretty much closing a door to an amazing friendship. A friend, yeah, that's it. You know, a friend who might be able to help us, you know, when we might need it the most. And so I think that's the in my opinion, that would be that is the biggest mistake that we can make as a society, to close ourselves and not to give ourselves, because we're living right now in this world right now, in this life, and so if we don't give ourselves the opportunity to be more open-minded and to say, yeah, you know, tell me about yourself. So tell me, why are you here? So not just, you know, listen to the news and learn about the country, but hey, there's someone here from that country. I want to know about your country. Tell me about your country. So, and that, I think that this will totally change things, because I'm getting to know you, you getting to know me, and I'm getting rid of stereotypes. And now, you know, we can be good friends and have an amazing friendship. And that's hopefully what I want for Mexico and the US. That one day we will travel to both countries without having all of these laws that can discriminate against certain people, but say, let's have a better understanding. And if people from Mexico or from any country needs to come here, they can come to work legally for 6 months or a year, and they can go back to the countries without risking their lives. And we can have an agreement where people can, or where we as countries can work together and have a system where we can have this different, like a treaty where if there's a need, if we have a need for people to come here and work, they can come here and work without risking their lives, and they can, after that work, they can go back and see their families. They can go back and continue with their lives, and so we can have a better understanding and better treaties where we can help each other. So ultimately, I don't know if I'm gonna see that in my lifetime, but I think that in the future, hopefully, we will be able to see that the Americas as a continent will be together and will help each other to have a better world for everybody, not just for one country, but for all of the Latin American countries and for all of the world.
Thank you for sharing all of that perspective. Hopefully, the people get a better understanding.
Thank you so much for your invitation. It's really a pleasure to talk about this and to give people my own perspective of what I know as an immigrant and as someone who was born and raised in Mexico and who has been in the U.S. for about 5 years, and who can offer a different perspective of what is it like, or how does it feel to live in the U.S. as as an immigrant and to understand why these people decide to come here. So I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so we got it.